Hello and welcome, my beautiful friends and family of Team Acne, to a new series that I think is desperately needed in the acne community. And this is going to be, Does This Cause Acne? That's the name of this series. And basically what we're going to be doing is each episode we will go through a few different topics, few different issues, few different external factors that do they or do they not cause acne? And basically what I'll be doing is I'll give you my own experience from having acne for over 7 years, very severe. I'll also be giving you some scientific research that I go through and find, and then I'll also follow up with the major one I'm gonna put in a vote on my Instagram, so that way I can get your opinions, because honestly, science is there and it's really important, but it's also important to see what people's anecdotal experiences are. So if you aren't following the Instagram, it's the same thing, Team Acne on Instagram, take part in that. Now let's jump into the first episode. Being that this is the first episode, I asked you guys on Instagram to give me questions about what causes acne, and for future references for next episodes and stuff, you guys can leave your questions down there and it will be included if I decide to use your question in the next episode. In this episode, we're gonna be talking about 3 different factors, the major one being masturbation/orgasming. Does that cause an increase in acne? The other 2 are sugar intake and high glycemic foods, and I'll explain as we go. But let's jump into masturbation. So first off, I did a poll and I asked you guys what you thought about your own experiences with masturbation or orgasming. For you, does it increase your acne? And the results are in. 23% of you have said, yes, I believe it has increased my acne, and 77% said, no, I don't believe that it has. Okay, so that's where the community of Team Acne weighs in. Now, my personal experiences, I'll go very quickly. I've talked about this in the past, but personally, I never saw an increase in acne when I was masturbating more, when I first started discovering my hormones and puberty and all that kind of stuff. And I didn't see a drop off of acne when I cessated from it, from when I stopped masturbating during like the no fap movement and things like that. So during different phases, masturbating more or less, having sex more or less, I have not seen an increase or decrease personally, and that's just me. So again, the community is there as well to give you guys who are saying yes, you know, there are others for sure. Now we're gonna jump into some science, and the science unfortunately is not super clear on this. On other topics, the science is a lot more clear, but on this subject, there's studies that go both ways, and there are also just a huge lack of studies in general. So first off, I'll read you what somebody wrote on a forum about acne, and he said, dihydrotestosterone, DHT, gets significantly increased after masturbation. Conversion of testosterone to DHT increases androgen signaling via 5A reductase from IGF-1 and other growth factors and activation of the mTORC1, and now you have acne. So as we know, if you've seen some of my other videos, mTORC1, when it is increased, does cause an increase in production of sebum oil through your sebum glands. So it does actually cause an increase in acne. Now what he is saying here, he's not giving any proof here. So he's saying that when you masturbate, a lot of hormones are released, especially DHT. There is some evidence to back up the fact that when you orgasm, your body does release a large amount of different hormones, you know, oxytocin for women, for men, IGF, DHT. But the studies also often show that that increase in hormones is very temporary and very quickly readjusts back to a steady level. Now, going along with this guy's post, he also posts a study that is actually NCBI, so that's a legit source. And what he says is the levels of DHT that were measured in the peripheral plasma of a group of young, apparently healthy males before and after masturbation. The plasma levels of all steroids were significantly increased after masturbation, whereas steroid levels remain unchanged in the control study. So he's saying that they did a study where they had young men about the same age. Some of them masturbated, some of them didn't, and they tested their testosterone levels before and after, and again they saw a temporary spike after that masturbation session. So during that period, it's showing that the increased hormones are there, but then again, like I'm saying, they quickly stabilize, so that doesn't necessarily add up to proof. Now, the next article that I found was from HIMS. You might have heard of this site, but they actually quote an NCBI study as well, so it's both studies are legit. Another study compares men with normal sexual activity to men that deliberately avoid sexual activity. Blood sample data showed no difference between the two groups in levels of total testosterone, free testosterone, and luteinizing hormone. Since DHT is a metabolite of testosterone, it's extremely unlikely that sexual activity, whether it's masturbation or sexual intercourse, has any effect, positive or negative, on DHT levels. And basically what they're saying is the exact opposite of what that last study says. So we have conflicting scientific evidence here. And honestly, I wasn't able, and I've been searching for about an hour now, I haven't been able to find a study that more so proves in one direction than the other one for me to say like this is the science. So the science lays kind of unbalanced. So to wrap up our talk about masturbation and orgasms, unfortunately there's conflicting evidence in the scientific community. My personal experience is that it has not increased or decreased my acne depending on which phase of masturbating or not masturbating or orgasming or non-orgasming I am. And then the community consensus is around 25% of people said they think it does increase their acne when they are orgasming, and 75% say that it does not. Now we're gonna move on to one of the other factors, one of the other topics, and we're gonna move through these ones much quicker. You guys asked, does sugar intake have an effect on acne? And sugar intake actually does have an effect on acne. This is actually proven, and I put this in a video before called The Science of Acne, and it's on my Brian Turner channel, and I will make another video about food and its scientific effects on acne. But high sugar does actually correlate to an increase in mTOR, and like I said earlier in this episode, when you have an increase in mTOR in your body, it signals your body to release more sebum fluid through your face, which causes you, if you have clogged pores, to get acne. So the answer is yes from the scientific community on that one, and that also ties in very well to the other one, which is high glycemic foods. And if you don't know what a high glycemic food is, a high glycemic food is something that metabolizes quickly, digests quickly into blood sugar. So this would be things like table sugar is probably like a really great example of high glycemic food, but also things like white bread and like very simple starches, they break down very quickly. Whereas things like complex carbs would be more like oats and things like that. Things that are mixed with fats and proteins will digest much slower. So if you have lots of candies and sweets and sugars and things like that, theoretically, your mTOR will increase based off of the scientific studies that we do have. The same scientific study that I just quoted for the sugar one is also tracking high glycemic foods, and it shows that that does have a correlation and to an increase in mTOR. So the answer on that one as well scientifically is yes, high glycemic foods do increase your acne. And that, my friends, brings us to the end of this first episode. I want to see how long this episode is before I add or remove anything to this structure of these episodes. I would like to talk more about each subject, but again, I want to make sure that these are concise, somewhere around 8 to 12 minutes. If you guys have any questions about does this cause acne, ask me in the comments below, and I won't be able to get to every single one. We'll probably go about 2 to 4 topics per episode, but having you guys down there really helps create more topics and content for me to talk about, because I know there are so many factors to go through, and for me, I feel like this is the best way to go through it in a chronological, well-structured, and well-libraried series that people can go through very quickly to find out the thing that they're trying to figure out, if it breaks them out or not. That is the end of this episode. If you guys did like it, please give it a thumbs up. It helps it out to way more people. Leave your comments below of what you were thinking, and subscribe if you're not subscribed already. Remember, you are not alone, you are beautiful, and you are part of Team Acne. See you guys in the next episode.